wonderful thing, isn't it? Okay, so welcome everybody to this hearing this morning, held under Section 181 of the Local Government Act, relating to 213 Beach Road, Kaiapoi. I'll just get some introductions done around the table before start. My name is Neville Atkinson. I am the chair of this hearing, and to my left I have Councillor Paul Williams, and to my right Councillor Phil Redmond, and I will get others around the room whom I'm assuming technology has picked up to introduce themselves. If you wouldn't mind, Sarah starting. Sarah Nichols is our secretary for today, and will be assisting us in that manner.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Kelly Simpson. I'm the Three Waters Manager at the Waimakariri District Council.
Morena, everyone. My name is Jenny Acker. I'm part of the property team at Waimakariri District Council.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Rob Hawthorne. My name is Rob Hawthorne, and I'm the property manager for Waimakariri District Council.
And thanks, Kelly. And we have also Mrs. Winter at the rear of the room as well, as who I'm sure is visible to you. And now, if we can get our Zoom participants to introduce themselves, would be helpful. Thank you. Rob.
My name is George Forbes, and I'm a partner at Rhodes & Co, representing Karen Winter today.
Thank you, Mr. Forbes.
And I'm Rob Kerr. I'm the delivery manager of the Shovel Ready program with the Waimakariri District Council.
Thank you, Rob. Okay, do we have any apologies for today? There are none that I'm aware of. There are none to be recorded. Any conflicts of interest that need to be recorded or have not been mentioned so far? There appear to be none. So, Mr. Forbes, we will get you to present to us what you have for us, if you wouldn't mind. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and panel members. Can I just ensure that you can hear me? All okay? Great. I'm going to make a submission now, and I'll read from that submission if I may. Again, my name is George Forbes. I'm a solicitor and a partner at Rhodes & Co, Christchurch. We act for Karen Winter, the registered owner of the property located at 213 Beach Road, Kaiapoi, and I present this submission for our client. Karen Winter was issued a notice dated 21 September 2021 from the council in respect of constructing works on and under her land, including significant permanent structures that will remain on and under the land following completion of the works. I refer here to these works as the proposed works. Our client lodged an objection to the notice pursuant to Schedule 12 of the Local Government Act on 21 October 2021, advising the council that she does not consent to the proposed works and no permission is granted to enter upon the land for any purpose associated with the proposed works. Before we move on to Karen Winter's reasons for her objection, it is apt to touch on the purpose of Section 181 of the Local Government Act, which was discussed by Collins J in the High Court in the case Hutt City Council versus the Lower Hutt District Court and Castles, and the reference for that is 2013 NZHC 706. In that case, the court held that Section 181 strives to achieve a careful balance of council powers with the rights of private property owners to use and enjoy their property free from unreasonable interference. This balance was achieved in 5 discrete ways: limiting the council powers in order to reinforce private property owner protections, requiring that works be necessary, which is a twofold analysis. Are the works necessarily on private land, and if so, how can such works be undertaken in a manner that minimises interference with the rights of an owner? The consent or Schedule 12 notice, objection and appeal procedure for utilising land. The requirement that council act reasonably in an administrative law sense. And finally, the interface with the Public Works Act 1981 regime in respect of compensation. In this case, the proposed works do not represent a mere construction right. Instead, this land is effectively being acquired, and it does not represent the careful balance envisaged by Section 181. Instead, the design means that these works are an unreasonable interference with the rights of a private property owner to use and enjoy their property free from that unreasonable interference. Karen Winter's objection is based on several grounds as outlined in her written objection of 21 October 2021, most of which are overlapping and are premised upon the Council's proposed works not being in line with the purpose of Section 181 of the Local Government Act. First, due to the heavy machinery and people transit required during the construction phase, we consider that Karen Winter will be unable to use a larger area of the land than the actual final proposed works area for her ordinary livestock business purpose, including because of the dangers of cattle fright, and with that, the resulting people and property danger associated with heavy machinery transit and use. At the least, the construction phase may render Karen Winter's land unusable for the usual stock numbers normally run on the land. The Council has stated in its agenda for this hearing that, quote, works shall be undertaken by excavator and other earthworks machinery within this area. No temporary working space is necessary outside the area, end quote. Respectfully, this does not seem feasible. For example, the Council will have to put up a fence alongside and away from the works perimeter in an area where livestock graze, and we would expect the placement of that fence would involve intrusion onto the balance of Karen Winter's land. This follows on to our client's second reason for her objection, the lack of Council explanation. The Council has not adequately explained in writing how it is the proposed works affect the land, including detailed proposals to minimise interference with the balance of the land and with livestock during the proposed construction phase. As noted, the presence of construction of the proposed works over a portion of Miss Winter's land will make that land unsuitable for livestock grazing and the usual business conducted on the land. It is noted that the Council has stated in the agenda report that, quote, livestock will move away from the work site during this period. The work site will be fenced to prevent stock access and to ensure safety, end quote. The Council has not made clear where Miss Winter's livestock will be moved during this period. The Council has not outlined a proposed start date for the proposed works, nor the length of time that construction is likely to continue. That absence of information makes stock buying and planning difficult indeed, and it is unreasonable in the context of land that is presently used for livestock grazing purposes. Further, we say the Council has not adequately explained why the proposed works, whether some or all, must be completed on this land rather than any public land or other land. The agenda, which was only sent outside working hours last Thursday evening, outlined for the first time for our client and assessment of alternate options considered by the council. The reasoning there for preferring our client's land included that, quote, the alternate option is more expensive, end quote. Although no detail is provided for an objective proportionality assessment to be undertaken. Further, the scorecard framework used by the council is not detailed for our client or for any non-council party to be able to assess or determine objectively whether the analysis of alternate location options has in fact been adequate. Additionally, the council has not, beyond stating that compensation may be available as sought, provided any detail of the compensatory process or arrangements. The lack of detail from the council as to compensation leaves our client unable to adequately consider the council's proposal. A third basis for our client's objection, as referred to earlier, is that due to their nature and extent, the proposed works are outside the scope of the intention of the statutory permission under the Local Government Act, and the land would be more properly pursued as an acquisition under the Public Works Act 1981. Significant in this case is the permanency of the proposed works combined with our client's future inability to access, use and enjoy a substantial area of land after construction of the proposed works. For these reasons, we say the council does not enjoy sufficient authority under section 181 of the Local Government Act to construct the proposed works in the way that it wishes. And the Local Government Act should not be used for mere expediency or cost saving, especially given our clients' entitlements would be broader if the land was legally acquired under the Public Works Act, with compensation accounting for loss of land, disturbance, and the loss of potential of land. In considering the notice, the proposed works, and the points we have noted, our client considers that the council is acting unreasonably as a matter of administrative law by failing to take into account the considerations we outlined when utilising section 181 of the Local Government Act, when it ought properly to be using the Public Works Act acquisition procedure. We consider the existence of this alternate statutory route to the Local Government Act would inform the District Council in any appeal of a decision by the Council to progress. And further, an unreasonable decision may be set aside by the High Court when exercising its judicial review jurisdiction. In conclusion, therefore, our client objects to the Council's proposed works, and no permission is granted to enter upon the land for this purpose. She respectfully asks that the Council abandon the proposed works as planned. Finally, we note that should Council decide to progress with the proposed works, we expect that our client will have no choice but to consider her appeal option in the District Court as well as in higher courts as permitted. Thank you. That brings my submission to a close.
Thank you, Mr. Forbes. Questions? Panel? Councillor Regent, do you have any questions? Councillor Williams. I have none. Are there any questions, Mr. Forbes? There appear to be no questions, Mr. Forbes, so that you've obviously stated the case very plainly. Thank you very much for that. We will now move to Mr. Kerr, if you would present your report, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So with me I have Kelly Simpson and Jenny Akers and Rob Hawthorne, who are able to answer questions as well from their respective expertise. But I'll just summarise the report as it stands and then allow you to explore any matters within it that you may. So as you're aware, on the 3rd of August, Council resolved to exercise its powers under Section 101 of the Local Government Act to give notice to the landowner of 213 Beach Road. Its intent to undertake land drainage and stormwater works on the land, being the Beach Road stormwater pumping station, pressure main and flood protection button. So there are 3 elements to the proposed works. The purpose of the works is to improve the level of flood protection for the urban area. The notice issued under section 181 in the description of works is included as Appendix A or Attachment A to the report, and that was the same information sent to the landowner, also put on display within the Kaiapoi Service Centre. That notice was sent on the 21st of September. It was put on the council's website as well and publicised on the council's Facebook page to ensure that everybody had the opportunity to see it. The 1 month period set out in Schedule 12 of the Act expired on the 22nd of October, which was the objection period. As we're aware, and as Mr. Forbes outlined, the landowner provided that objection on the 21st of October, and that is included as Attachment B, and obviously has been summarised by Mr. Forbes. We're here now, so the next paragraph of my notes is to say that the hearing is set down for today, and you also have a deliberation period in a week today as well, next Tuesday. The options that you have to consider is under the Act is to either abandon the works proposed or to proceed with the works proposed with or without any alterations that you see fit. So you do have options in terms of amending the proposal. The key matters which I suggest that you consider and which we've addressed in the staff report are around the necessity for the works, and we've provided you with some analysis of that. The consideration of the landowner's objection, of which you of course just heard, and any alterations that you might wish to make as a result of those considerations. So I'm happy to answer any questions and for you to explore any other aspects of the report supported by the other staff at the hearing. Back to you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Kerr. Panel members, any questions, Mr. Redmond?
I've lost my Zoom.
Oh, come this side. Sorry, we've had another technical glitch. Mr. Redmond has dropped off the Zoom, so he will join my space. Right, did you have any questions?
Mr. Kerr, are there alternative proposals to the one that you're putting forward here that could meet the same outcome?
So we've given in the attachments of the report some analysis of those potential options, and if I can take you to the right attachment, but I'm sure you can probably find it. So we have looked at the options both on public land and on other private land as well. So clearly the works on other private lands, such as on the north side of the beach road, has the same process and requirements as the discussion we're having with 213 Beach Road with Ms. Winter. The works on private land are all difficult, if not impossible, and that is simply because of the lack of space. So the best next option, which if there was enough space would be the one that we would wish to pursue, would be right at the head of Feldwick Drain. And if you know the site is exactly where the current footbridge is over Feldwick Drain at the head of the drain. However, we've looked at that and sought to try and fit it all in. However, it is a very narrow spot and has a high-speed road next door to it, and the risks. And the third aspect is that there is a major wastewater pipeline which goes through that area as well. And so the challenges of actually fitting that in mean that it's either not feasible or very, very high risk in order to be able to be achieved. The other potential area in public works land is further west along Beach Road in the Verge. However, that carries the same problems and in fact carries quite a significant safety risk of being on the edge of the road in that way. So our conclusions are, as set out in that analysis, is that all the alternative options carry some quite significant disadvantages, and the ones on public land we don't believe are actually feasible. So that is why we've concluded that the location that is set out in the proposed works is the better location and the only realistic location within this area. I might add, the reason why it is in this location and perhaps not at the southern end or the river end of Feldwick Drain and so on is simply because of the hydraulics and the way the system performs, is that the pumping station needs to be located nearer to the area which is at flood risk, which is the most prone is the area around Bracebridge Street. And so moving it further away from this location, perhaps further downstream, means that it is either less effective or becomes ineffective in resolving that flood risk.
Thank you, Rob. When I was looking at the diagram, there is also a bund, or bund, however you pronounce it, proposed, running north to south.
Yes.
Is that bund essential for the proposal, or how critical to the proposal is it? And secondly, down the river end of that bund, it appears to remain in Karen Winter's property. There appeared to be land to the left of that, the ownership of which I'm not aware of. Is there any reason why there's that kink in the bund, or whether it could go straight ahead?
To answer the first question in terms of the necessity for that, the bundle bund, the purpose of it is create a separation between the Macintosh Drain catchment and any outer bank flow that comes from Macintosh Drain and the urban area of Kaiapoi. So it's part of the overall scheme. It's not directly connected with the pumping station. These things work together as opposed to be and complementary. It is part of the proposed works, but it's not part of the pump station as such. It's part of the overall scheme to protect Kaiapoi from and the urban area of Kaiapoi from flooding. The answer to the second question is the land to the immediate east of Feldwick Drain down at the southern end. There is part of the former residential red zone and is now owned by council. That is within the licence area, or the area covered by the agreement with WOW, with the Aqua Sports Park developers. Our discussions with them is that there is some potential for putting the bund along there, but that hasn't been fully explored. However, my reading of the agreement that the council has with WOW is that there is the ability for council to have those works there. And indeed, in their master plan for that area, it is a glamping area. So therefore, without being too simplistic about it, local land raising is not a significant impediment. In fact, may be quite advantageous to their plans. What the disadvantages, aside from that integration with that future development, is that there would be some loss of a couple of large trees by running the bund through that area. But that's the only other disadvantage.
Thank you, Rob. Could you just confirm? Having a wee bit of feedback. that better? Sounds better.
That's much better.
Right. Just to simply put it, without the bund, the effect on Karen Winter's property would be greatly minimised. Would the drainage objects be achieved without the bund?
So there's two parts to the flood protection improvement, the flood improvement that are achieved by the proposed works. The first is the construction of the pumping station and of course the pipeline to convey water from the pumping station to the river, and that provides a greater level of protection to properties which are currently at risk of flooding in the Bracebridge Street area. So that is rain that is falling on the urban area and is unable to get away, and instead ponds around that area, and therefore the pumping station will increase the rate of discharge and therefore reduce the amount of flooding. So that's what the pump station does. The bund protects the urban area by different means, in that it prevents water from the Macintosh drain flowing into the urban area and therefore obviously flooding that urban area. So there's two parts to the scheme that protects from two different types of flood risk.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Evans. Councillor Williams?
Yes, Mr. Forbes mentioned about fences and everything for the stock there. Where would you envisage the fence line to be? On the bund or whereabouts?
So I can only just hear you, Councillor, but I understand that the question was where would the fence line be? Would it be on the boundary or on the bund? And aside from, I think this can be a discussion that could take place in the detail of where a landowner would prefer to have the fence, but there actually doesn't need to be a fence around on the bund or to protect the bund. If it's a grass mound, if you like, a long one obviously, but a mound, and there would be no reason why you wouldn't necessarily have cattle on top of the bund eating the grass and having a nice view. So there doesn't have to be a fence off. The only area that needs to be fenced off solely for safety purposes is around the pumping station to ensure that everybody is safe.
Thank you.
Thank you. I have no questions. Mr. Forbes, any questions of Mr. Kerr?
Thank you. No, I don't have any questions.
All right. Well, look, that concludes all the presentations that we had, so I will adjourn the hearing and we will adjourn to deliberations on the 9th, of which we will hold here, and we will be back to you in writing with the hearing panel's decision directly after that, as soon as we can. Thank you very much for your attendance and participation. And you will be hearing from us in due course. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.